And we're coming to you live from the Built Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are in the free Odyssey app, good Thursday morning. I know lots of Mets fans are angry about the way the season is going, and I understand, and you pour your time and your effort into your money into this organization, and things work out the way that they do or the way that they have this year. You've got every right to be angry. But I will say personally for me, when you reach that point in your life where you are no longer angry at the team for nights like last night and it becomes funny to you, that's when everything is unlocked as a sports fan, because there's nothing we can do about it. You realize at some point, to me, it took to about, 38, 39, 40 years old. I'm going to be 42 coming up. Well, there's nothing I could do about it. So I'll be angry for a little bit. But eventually, especially with an organization like the Mets, it's funny. Last night, the Mets and that whole situation was funnier than any television show on right now. Now, I haven't seen Tires yet on Netflix, and maybe that with Shane Gillis will be funnier than what the Mets did yesterday. But the fact that they had a guy in Jorge Lopez get lit up, leave the mound, throw his glove into the stands, the manager calls it unacceptable. Steve Gelbs of SNY says, hey, do you regret that? And he goes, no, I don't, because I'm on the worst effing team in the MLB. Did you just call the Mets? You want to clarify that, Jorge? Did you just call the Mets the worst effing team in the MLB? Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's right. I'm doubling down, and he gets DFA'd. Oh, my God, the comedy. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, you and I were together when this was all going down, by the way.
Yeah.
And it was amazing to listen to Howie talk about it on the radio.
Yeah, throwing the glove, the whole Jorge Lopez throwing the glove thing. We were listening on 880.
Oh, it was unbelievable. And it just basically, I'm just going to say what everybody else is saying, is reflecting where they are right now, how they're playing, and the fact that they have to have a players-only meeting tells you all you need to know. Now, I've been a part of players-only meetings. They're not fun. A lot of times things will be said in there that need to stay in there. I hope that it stays in there. I hope somebody doesn't, decide to discuss what went on in that meeting. But this basically reflects the Mets season, reflects where they are as an organization. It is the right thing to DFA him immediately to get him the hell out of here. You do not want a guy speaking like that to your fan base. No matter how bad it is, and he may be right, he may be accurate, he may, there'll be Met fans out there making memes out of all of this, and yeah, okay, it's a joke, we get that, but the point is, you can't have a player acting this way, saying these things, and you have to immediately get rid of them. And this is part of a locker room culture problem, if you ask me.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you can laugh at it all you want.
I'm laughing just because I'm watching. So I'm watching the Ohtani home run, and I'm watching the glove being tossed. And, this year was not going to be anything for them anyway. David Stearns knew it. Steve Cohen knew it. Steve Cohen told us before the offseason that they weren't going to do anything in the offseason, and nobody believed him. And I sat here arguing over the summer with CeeLo and Eddie and Al and I were on one side going, they're not going to spend any money this offseason. Stearns is going to come in. They're going to blow this thing up, and that's going to be that. So that's what's happened. Now, they're way worse than I think anybody expected. I thought they'd tap out or top out at 75 wins. But, it's just they cannot get out of their own way. This has been the organization, them and the Jets. They can never get it right. And once again, this spring filled with so much stuff. Knicks, Rangers, Yankees playing great. All the things that have distracted us from the Mets. It all ended and was quiet for a night so they could take the stage and give us this. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
You want to talk about the amazing Mets? That's what this is. They're going to have one of their relievers throw his glove into the stands and then call them the worst team in Major League Baseball on a night where nothing else was going on other than the Edmonton Oilers and the Dallas Stars.
Yeah, I got to tell you, timing is impeccable by the Mets, and it is one player. And, the fact of the matter is it's embarrassing. That's really what it comes down to. And you know who I really feel bad for? I really feel bad for Carlos Mendoza because he's a rookie manager. You don't see this stuff happening in with the Yankees. You have different situation with the Yankees for sure, but nothing like this. And here's a rookie manager that's trying to navigate his way through the beginning of his career, trying to deal with a losing franchise, trying to deal with a losing culture in that locker room. And now all of a sudden a nondescript, reliever basically not only is embarrassing as he's walking off the field, says the most embarrassing thing you could possibly say about the team that you're playing for.
Yep.
So I really feel bad for Carlos Mendoza. I do. I mean, and I'm serious about that. I am totally genuine about that. He should not have to
somewhat
deal with
responsible for the fact that this team is a complete joke. Like, are we going to sit here and only give a manager credit if they're winning or the clubhouse is great? Or I mean, this thing has spiraled out of control so much so that this was indeed a players only meeting. He wasn't around.
Yeah, because they asked him whether or not he had spoken to Jorge Lopez yet when he was given his post game presser, and he hadn't spoken to him yet. I'm like, what?
Well, I guess because of the meeting.
The first thing, and I know that baseball is a completely different animal. It's 162 games. It's guaranteed contracts. It's players run the freaking the teams. I know the manager, especially when you're confronted with something like this, what do? The first thing that I would have done is I would have walked back to my office, pulled this young man into my office, and told him not only is it unacceptable, I am telling the general manager that you will be released and you will have to go find yourself another team to go play for.
And he's probably like, great.
I mean, I would have ripped him a new one. I'm telling you, like, this is what. And again, you can't always do this. Like, there's going to be weeks at a time where you may not talk to somebody. You just see them, and you may say something in a meeting, and you'll get in touch with each other. I mean, somehow, some way. But let me just tell you something. There comes a time when the coach has got to or the manager in this case, put his foot down and not allow. And the other thing is too, the other players got to hear the manager doing this or understand that the manager is in control. And I don't necessarily know that Carlos Mendoza has ever confronted or seen anything quite like this. But this is a guy that needed to be made an example of, and how he could have put his foot down.
Well, I mean, they ended up DFAing Jorge
but I'm
Lopez,
just saying, like,
but
this was a chance, for him not to come out to the post-game press conference and say some BS that I haven't spoken to him yet.
Yeah,
this would have been a perfect opportunity to say, guys, I'll be out in a minute. I got to handle something here. Go in there, rip him a new one, and then come out and say, that is unacceptable. That player will not be here any longer. He does not reflect the culture that we are trying to build here for the New York Mets. And I think Carlos Mendoza, because he's a rookie, misses a huge opportunity here to really put his foot down.
Yeah,
and that again, it's just because he's probably a nice guy, probably deals with players all the time, has watched how Aaron Boone has dealt with the Yankees. That's how he learned how to become a manager, and probably does not want to confront anybody.
Oh, so you still feel bad for him? Because I don't feel bad for him. Like, you got this opportunity.
Well, yeah.
The only people I feel bad for in the organization are those who have to come up with ways to convince people to buy tickets. Like, whether it's the marketing department or the ticket people, those are the people I feel bad for. They got one of the toughest jobs in America right now. There's so many coaches out there, and this is why teams end up firing coaches and hiring experienced coaches for situations like this, or managers in this case. And I feel bad. I do feel bad for him because he doesn't know. He's never been in a situation where he's had to call a player out before. And he's been around baseball forever, and everybody talked about how he was made for this job, and this was the perfect time.
Dude,
and
you know why? You know why? Because he's a great communicator. Because he gets along with the players. The players respect him. My ass. There are times where players cross the line, and this is where the manager or the coach has got to put their foot down. I mean, like I think Brian Daboll is a prime example of that. Mm-hmm. He'll put his foot down.
Sure.
He will say something. He will have an uncomfortable conversation with somebody. And they have 3 times as many players as the baseball team has. Mm-hmm. And I just think that there are certain coaches that are afraid to say things. And when they are rookie in nature, in this case, we're talking about a rookie who's 55 games or 60 games into his budding career, is confronted with this asinine display just jackassery.
But you said that that was a layup for him, though. So it shouldn't
but
have
he
anything to
doesn't
do with
real-
his
but-
inexperience
he
or being a
doesn't-
rookie. He should have been able to handle that.
Gio, he doesn't realize that it was a layup for him. That's the thing.
Well, that's a
what I'm
problem
saying.
then. I don't feel bad for him.
I mean,
But he's not doing his job properly.
It's like any sort of rookie baseball player, football player, basketball player. You know,
Guy's been in dugouts forever.
Remember
though,
Emmanuel
man.
Quickly and R.J. Barrett got here, and we were talking about, you got to give them time, guys. They got to understand they're not going to be Michael Jordan
It's
right
a
out of the gate.
completely different situation.
No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
the same.
It's someone coming out of college or high school and then playing against grown men in a sport where you have to match with them physically, as opposed to a guy who's been sitting in dugouts for his entire life, jumping into this situation just like every other person who looks smart before they get to the Mets becomes an idiot. I mean, there's so many examples of this. All these guys that came in, whether it's Brody Van Wagenen, the genius that he was, or Mickey Callaway, the pitcher whisperer, or Jared Scott, or Zach Scott, or whatever the hell. Some guys sending penis pictures, the other guy's driving drunk. I mean, it's amazing. No matter who you are, you come here and you become an idiot. Luis Rojas, great shape. Another guy, man, I tell you, he's ready for this job, coming up through the ranks, minor league system, comes here, idiot. Carlos Mendoza is just another one of those guys. Build a culture here. What culture? The culture is a joke. And they always will be. Always. No matter what happens. I mean, you had the guy who was allegedly a huge Mets fan in Steve Cohen come in here and he's going to change everything. All he's done is hire idiots outside of Buck Showalter, who he fired and then had to announce his own firing in a press conference with the general manager sitting in the back row, who then they had to fire because he was manipulating the injured list. I mean, they are the funniest thing in sports.
All right, they
and
are.
if you don't
Yes.
realize it, listen, this is entertainment. They're great. This is awesome. I can't get this is better than them playing well. Because they're not going to win the World Series anyway. They won 101 games, and they lost to the Padres in the playoffs, got swept by the Braves, lost the division when they were leading it. They broke a record, for God's sakes, of leading the division for longer than ever and then not winning it. So just have fun with this now. I mean, so David Stearns has got a huge job on his hands, just
think?
like all these other guys did. And is he going to be the one that turns it around or not? Or is he just going to be another one of these names that just comes in and out and in and out and in and out, and then we laugh about it years later, and then talk about for years and years and years how stupid this signing was, how stupid that trade was, how stupid hiring that person was. I mean, that's all we do with them. So they're if you want to be serious for a second from their business standpoint, because screw the baseball, because they suck and they're never getting out of this. But this is more and more so, sports are becoming global. You're seeing like the cricket world championship here. The World Cup is coming here. There's so many things that people can watch because of technology. If you suck, no one's going to care. Even the people who have it in their DNA. Like I had it in my DNA. Eddie had it in his DNA. You continue to suck, it's out of us. And then the only way that you can get it back is for years and years and years and years of trust that is built up because you win. And I know that's what the Mets are trying to do. They're incapable of it.
By the way, it took the Knicks years to do that.
I mean, 20.
And Leon Rose basically was the one that turned the whole thing around.
And they still haven't gotten out of the second round of the playoffs. They got a long way to go.
But you know what? They're not
like where they are.
This is not Isaiah Thomas. This is not Phil Jackson.
Right, and the Mets are in the middle of that.
All right, so now they're trying to come out of that, and hopefully David Stearns becomes what Leon Rose has become to the Knicks, what Chris Drury's become to the Rangers, what hopefully Joe Shane is becoming to the Giants, what Joe Douglas has tried to become for the Jets, but things haven't worked out for him. I mean, and what Brian Cashman is for the Yankees. I know that Brian Cashman gets a lot of crap thrown at him, but at the end of the day, for him, that team is always competitive. Yeah. He always keeps it competitive. They always keep it buttoned up. And this is from a Mets fan's perspective. So I sit here and I sit and wonder that they're always competitive. They're always in it.
Sure.
Somehow, some way, they get the guy that they want, and they stay in it, even though they haven't won a World Series. And I know that's what it all comes down to. But, compare that to what the Mets have been through over the last 20 years. And by the way, I've been a Met fan since 1968. So I've seen everything. I've seen the amazing Mets where nobody thought they could ever win anything go all the way to win a World Series.
Right. So I was 4 when that happened, and I have no recollection of it. I have not seen them win a World Series.
69 Mets.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying I just. For me, all they've been is one of the biggest jokes in professional sports.
I understand everything that you're saying, and I hear the passion in your voice, and I appreciate.
No, it's gone. The passion's gone.
No, the passion.
They knocked it out of me.
No, the passion for this being the funniest thing on TV.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, that part of it, I can hear it. But
fully
that does
swung
not,
into that thing.
But that you have not diminished my feelings for what Carlos Mendoza's going through. I'm sorry.
What Carlos Mendoza's going through, my ass.
I'm sorry. He had a chance yesterday and he missed it. He whiffed.
But okay, he whiffed, so why do you feel bad for him?
You know what? Because that's a rookie mistake. That's a 100% rookie mistake.
Whatever.
And rookies make mistakes.
Yeah.
Right?
Carlos Mendoza
there was a point in time.
There's a grain of sand in the beach of the Mets history. He's just, there's no point in talking about these guys. Carlos Mendoza, he's not going to be here for any couple of, he probably won't be here at the end of the year. He's just another one of these guys. It's just, remember when this is where this came up from with the Knicks. We were actually at your golf tournament, probably 2018, 2019. We're talking about the Knicks and that's where the hamster wheel of turds came from.
Right.
So all the coaches and all the GMs and everything. That's what the Mets are in the middle of. Like a singular moment for Carlos Mendoza, it means nothing in this right now. This is just another example of how they can't get it right. So this season is done. It's done. They're never going to win this year. They're going to be one of the worst teams in baseball. Jorge Lopez is right. But David Stern still has an opportunity. But the worst that they go,
Lopez is right.
He's right. They're the worst team in baseball.
Yeah,
so
he can't be saying that.
Well, sure he can. I mean, it was the most entertaining thing that happened yesterday. That was great.
That's why he's gone.
Right, but whatever. So he is another thing that's just a blip in the history of this organization. But the worse you get and the more that you become the laughingstock like they have been, the harder it's going to be to build this team into a winner. And they needed to just hang around and be respectable enough just to make it look like David Stearns knew what he was doing. And okay, new regime, new team, new culture.
Months.
Okay, new culture. You're talking about building a culture.
Yeah, but
this is your first impression of this culture.
But
it's worse than it's ever been.
He also inherited most of these players. You have to remember that. So he's got to unwind from players who at the core of this team are anything but leaders. There are no leaders in this team.
He didn't inherit Jorge Lopez.
Well, he's going to get rid of Jorge Lopez, that's for sure.
Well, he did, but I'm saying, you're talking about he inherited these guys. The guys we're talking about
Gio,
who embarrassed the organization.
It doesn't happen overnight, especially after you take over a franchise that is still paying 2 pitchers to pitch for somebody else.
I didn't think that you and Jerry were the ones that thought they were going to play well this year. I did not. I'm not saying it was going to be overnight success. Just don't be the biggest laughingstock in baseball. Can we start there?
Well,
can we start there?
When you have a reliever who gets thrown out of the game, throws his glove up into the stands, and then stands in front of his locker and says, I play for the worst effing team in MLB.
Does that happen on the Yankees? Does it happen on the Braves? Does it happen on the Phillies? Does it happen on... No, it doesn't. So is it Jorge Lopez or is it the Mets?
I don't know what's going on with Jorge Lopez. He's another one. I mean, he just completely snapped. He completely snapped. So I'm sure that, I don't know how to put this because you won't understand it, but I'll tell you that the manager's probably sitting there going, this guy's got issues, this guy's got problems, and I don't know what they are. I don't know where he's coming from, and I'm going to have to deal with this. And, again, you have a rookie manager dealing with a player who just completely snapped. I mean, I have never seen this before. Have you ever seen this?
No.
I'm not saying as bad as Antonio Brown was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when he ran off the field against the Jets with no shirt on. That was about as bizarre as it gets.
Yeah.
But this one's a new one for me. I haven't seen this one. I'm sure somebody along the line has just thrown their glove into the stands, but I'm not sure if they've done it under these circumstances.
I'm sure the Mets will provide us with another 3, 4, or 5 of those. This is a new one for me. I never saw that before. Oh my God. this is unbelievable. When you thought it was rock bottom, it actually got worse. Well, we'll have a few more of those here in 2024 because that's what they're good for. So get your Hello Kitty bobbleheads and go out and see Darryl Strawberry and do all the things you want to do.
There's not going to be enough bobbleheads for everybody.
Because this is just... And good thing Citi Fields got some good food. I mean, holy hell. I mean, what a miserable, miserable product that they are responsible for. And there's no end in sight.
The amazing thing when David Stearns comes in and goes, okay, we got Pete Alonso at first. We got Jeff McNeil at second. We got Brandon Nimmo center. We got Francisco Lindor at third. We got Francisco Alvarez behind the plate. And a healthy Sterling Marte out in right field. That's a pretty good team. On paper, that should be a pretty decent team.
But it's the Mets.
And then, of course, their bullpen implodes again. Their bullpen has been so taxed. It's been so overworked. Edwin Diaz now goes on the IL. Pete Alonso gets hit with a baseball in the hand. We don't know what his current set of circumstances are and moving forward what they're going to be. I mean, this is like...
And in true...
This is like a house of cards completely coming apart.
And in true Mets fashion, where you could have potentially had the Knicks coming off an Eastern Conference Finals game if things went a different way, or the Rangers could have been playing Game 5 last night as opposed to tonight. Nothing goes on. And they're front and center. We're still here, everybody. Look at us. We're here. Remember us? The biggest joke in sports? We're here. Come on up. Get your tickets. Get your popcorn. Get your Shake Shack. Here we are. We suck. And we're going to let you know about it in spectacular fashion.
Quickly, let's go to Jim in Madison. Jim, what's happening?
Hey, guys. Thanks a lot for taking my call. Listen, we're talking about the Mets being a joke and how funny this is, right?
Yeah.
The best part of that clip is he throws the glove into the stands. The guy who catches it is playing with it, looking at it, and right next to him is sitting somebody with a Yankees jersey on. I mean, my God, Mets,
in a sea of Dodgers fans that were already there. I mean, God, if they kept out Yankees and Dodgers fans, the only people that would have been there last night were Evan Roberts and his dad. I mean, look at this. Look, see? Dodgers, Yankees, Dodgers. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yes, it is.
But yet so believable.
What do you think? What do you think is going on in the Mets offices this morning?
Well, which one? Like the front office, the baseball office, the ticket office, the PR office, Carlos Mendoza's office? Which office? The medical office where there's impingements and CT scans. Which one?
Well, I'm thinking the owner, the manager, and the GM. That's what I'm thinking, because that's ultimately the three most important people.
But I feel like these conversations have gone on because they've been bad for so long now that they've probably had these 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Like they've said the same. So we got to turn this around. We got to do something different. We got to do this. We got to do that. Players only. I mean, you're just not capable of it. You're just not.
Did Steve Cohen tweet anything or post anything?
I didn't see if he did. But it's like we could sit here and talk about how, like, hey, listen, we're going to go run a marathon. We're going to go do it, and we're not going to stop. We're not going to walk at any point. We're just going to go, and we're going to run a marathon, and we could do it. It's 26 miles. We're not capable. So they could sit around and talk about how they're going to get back into it, and we're going to work hard. We're going to do this. We're going to change this. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Not capable.
I understand. But you know what? They need to be more like you, because, at the beginning of a rainy 40-mile, 5-borough bike tour, Gio's at the starting line.
Yes, and I fell.
And Gio fell. And he fell on some German guy, some probably Spaniard fell on you.
Right.
And you guys got hung up at the starting line.
Right. It was a domino effect.
It was.
Someone banged into me. I fell on somebody else. The bike shoes were locked into the pedals. It was very difficult for me to get up. But I got up and I finished.
That's the point. So you got yourself up. You could have quit right there.
So that was like the 2022 Braves, who got off to a rough start, and the Mets were leading the division by 10 games, and then came back and won the division, made the playoffs, everything else. And the Mets are like Big Zoo, who had a flat tire within the first 5 minutes and then quit a quarter of the way through.
Right. Yeah.
So there's different types of folks in this world, and different types of teams and organizations.
That's right. And we got to the Verrazano Bridge. We took a swig of Reposado.
Yep, that's right.
And the next thing you know, you finished with a big smile on your face, and you got a medal.
Yeah, I did. I got a medal that I still have, and I still look at.
So this is the kind of thing that I don't know if the Mets can get up off the mat. I really don't.
No, they can't. They're much like Pete Hoffman, who's also a Mets fan who just quits before the whole thing starts.
Yeah, that's true.